Maybe. Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning and time for Sales Logic. After a bit of a snafu on my part, we are up and running live. I'm hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter.
There is no such thing as snafus. Hey, sales is great. Saturday mornings is great. Good to see you. We're going to have a good show.
We got a really good show. It's an important show, and you need to stay tuned because we're going to give you some tips that you need to really finish this year strong. Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and welcome once again to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies that you need to sell effectively. Now, before Mark tells you what is on tap for today, I always like to tell you how the show works. Please reach out to us as an audience member because we start every show with a question from you, really talking about the issues that are relevant and important to make you more successful. We cover a hot topic, we recommend a book, and because we want you to walk away with return on investment, we do a lightning round. So, Mark, what are we talking about today?
Well, hey, we've turned the clock. It's November. So the topic, selling through the holidays, that year-end piece. And boy, let me tell you something, it's impacting a lot of people already. We've got a great question. Question today comes from Ron in Milwaukee. He says, I'm a sales leader of a newly merged team, and we're having a big debate. Do we sell or do we not sell through the holidays? My team has had an amazing year, but we are worried about 2024. Most of my newly formed team is tired. They want a break, but a few of my top performers think we need to strike while the iron is hot. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, we can pretty much sum this up with one sentence. Sell straight through the holidays. Do not take your foot off of the gas. Your top performers, not surprising, because they're top performers, they're right. I mean, congratulations. You've had a great year. But everything that you do in November and December is going to determine what 2024 looks like. So you've got to sell through the season. At the same time, it doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to wear you out. It doesn't have to be painful at all. It can be actually a really enjoyable experience.
This is why you've got to lay out the calendar right now. What days are you open as a company? What days are you closed? When's the last day to process orders? All of the things regarding new customers, are there credit applications that need to get all those dates set up right now, and then begin getting your people to say, hey, what days are they taking off? Again, it doesn't have to be stressful. Here's the whole thing though. Momentum creates momentum. If you wind up slowing things down heading into the holidays, guess what? Coming into January, you're going to be slow to get started. And suddenly 8.5% of the year, that's called the month of January, is going to be gone, because guess what? You are still getting your act together. Momentum creates momentum. Sell through the holidays. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah, I also think that the last thing you want to do is set the tone with the sales team that it's ever okay to stop selling. I mean, you don't want to say, well, we've had a great year, we can just quit right now, because sales isn't something that you do when you need orders. It is a way that you serve your customers. And so it is a habit that you want to create in your team that they do all the time, regardless of whether they're behind in their sales goal, they're ahead of their sales goal. It isn't so much about that. It's about serving the customer. So shift the purpose.
It is so true. And Bryn brings up a great comment here. So many companies still have budget that they need to invest in 2024. And I like how she says it, not spend, but invest. Some of our biggest clients close in December, year after year. Yeah, see this whole thing. You say, well, I don't want to do business in December because I want to wait and get it in January. Some of that business will never be had because those budgets go away. And again, this is why you need to stay in the game. Another key reason to stay in the game is this, very simply. A lot of your competitors shut down. Yeah. This is the time when you score new customers. I can tell you time and time again, when I used to be in corporate roles and so forth, and this was a time of year we go out and land customers because nobody else was working. And we kept those customers all the way through the following year. It was an easy way to build the business.
Yeah, I would also say think of ways to use the holidays. I was just talking with a client of mine this past week who she has just started to see some real sales traction. They've had a tough year. I mean, business has really not been flowing through the door. And we just started to turn things around. Now she's headed towards the holiday and she's a little bit worried about bothering people. And I said, let's talk about how you can use Thanksgiving if you sell in the United States. Even if you don't sell in the United States, you can say we're celebrating Thanksgiving in the US by reaching out and saying thank you to all of our clients. We want to do a call and make sure that we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, one step ahead of you to make sure that you're in position to hit your goals for 2024. Whatever your customers celebrate as we head into the December season, it's a great time to say it's year end, and as a big thank you to you, we just want to reach out. We just want to learn a little bit about you so we can make 2024. Use the holiday season.
Hey, you know what? And you don't even need to use Thanksgiving. I like just being, hey, it's the end of the year. Hey, I'm calling up all my customers to say, hey, thank you for the year. Thank you. And, it's amazing. You have those conversations, and it's so important to make them phone conversations. People will sit there and say, oh, well, we thank our customers by sending out a holiday card or sending them gifts. I don't give a rip. Do that by all means. But pick up the phone and call them and have a conversation, because when you call them to thank them for their business and begin having that conversation, it is amazing at what they're going to share back with you. And what are they going to share back with you? Hey, there may be needs that they need to get taken care of right now. There may be needs that they're going to tell you about coming up in the next year. There's going to be all kinds of opportunities. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that conversation to set up a time to meet. Because if I can meet with them face to face, and here's the whole deal, because we're going to start hearing this as we get deeper into the holidays, people will say, oh, well, call me back after the first of the year. No, I want to book that I want to book that meeting. I want to book that meeting right now. I want to book that meeting in the last couple of weeks of the year, or worst case, the first week of January, because I want to be ahead of everybody.
Yeah, I think in that respect, sometimes people are crazy at the end of the year, or they're planning to take a couple of weeks off. And if they really say, call me back at the first of the year, you don't want to push too hard because you don't want to offend them. But Mark makes such a great point. Just schedule it right for, say, absolutely. Let's schedule it for January 3rd. Make sure that first week in January is packed with business calls, because you want to make sure you do not lose, that week of the year. And just because somebody tells you they don't have time to meet doesn't mean you can't give a touch point to them, doing something to drop a line, something to help them. I just wrote a blog on the top 5 ways to finish 2023 strong. And I'm just using it as a way to reach out to all of my clients and say, I just want to make sure you finish the year strong. It's not technically a sales call, but it's a touch point. It's a way to keep me visible and in front of them.
I love what you do. You're bringing value to your customers. Mm-hmm. This is what it's all about. And again, go back to that comment that you said, a person said that, well, I didn't want to be disturbing people. I don't want to be bugging people in the year. Here's the whole thing. Sales is not about the sale. Sales is about the relationship. Sales is about helping people. And anytime I can bring value, anytime I can bring assistance to my customers, I want to be reaching out to them. And the end of the year is when a lot of customers need assistance. Go back to Bryn's comment. They got budget at the end of the year. They may have a critical need that they've got to get started on right after the first of the year. It can be any number of things. Run with it, go with it. Don't take your foot off the gas. I watch, and again, go back to our question from Ron. He says his top performers want to keep going. Yeah, because they know what happens. Hey, you play a lot of tennis, you play a lot of golf. What would happen to your game if you didn't play?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's why you stay in the game. You remain on the court. You remain on the course consistently. You never stop playing because you know what would happen to your game. This is the same thing in sales. Don't slow down whatsoever. Keep it going. You may change your focus a little bit. That's fine, but keep going.
Yeah, I love what our first time listener, Magic for Life, is here. Holiday cards are amazing for existing customers, and handwritten makes you stand out. So true. Just take a few moments, send somebody a card. Don't think the problem with the end of the year is, I think it's a problem in sales and anyway. Don't think about the close. Let it go. It's not about that. Are you reaching out? Are you genuinely trying to touch base with people and give them ideas on how to help them? I think one of the most important sales calls you can make in the last 2 months of the year during the holiday season is just a listening call, because customers' needs, desires, fears are going to change as we move into 2024. And if you're not listening to them now, you're going to miss what they are. And so maybe they don't want to buy right now. That's okay. But if you can find out what they need, schedule something for January, you'll be well positioned to help them be successful.
And when you listen to them, you may be a salesperson who is continuously supplying. You may sell a consumable to customers. So you've got your history of orders for the year. You've got your history. You may want to say, hey, you know what? Let's take a couple minutes here at the end of the year. I just want to kind of recap and talk about the service we've been providing you and talk about this and so forth. And it's amazing the conversations you're going to get into. And again, what am I doing? I'm doing I'm really doing three things. A, I'm strengthening the relationship. But two, I'm opening the door for year-end opportunities. And three, I'm setting the table for next year. This is so key. And one other piece around this. Don't think at the end of the year that you can't reach further up the food chain. There may be people that you normally deal with a customer. Go up a notch or two. Go up a notch or two and set an appointment. Get lunch, grab coffee, grab whatever with them. Why? Because it's amazing. At the end of the year, people's calendars are people say, oh, they're stressed out. Yeah, but you know what? It's amazing how people will make time for lunch or coffee, whatever it might be. And it's amazing, again, the conversations you're going to have and what you're going to learn. I love it. Hey, I love Dave's comment. With all the uncertainty in the world right now, I think our clients appreciate someone checking in and asking how they are. I did that during the pandemic and found out that my client needed N95 masks. There you go. And oh, by the way, if you know Dave, he wasn't selling N95 masks.
Right.
But see, this is the whole thing. It is our ability. And there is a lot. I mean, Jamie Dimon had some interesting comments this past week regarding the global situation and so forth. So it's on everybody's mind. So if you can be that voice of calm, that voice of, hey, I appreciate you. It's amazing how far it's going to go.
Yeah, we've got John Register in the house with us this morning. I always love it when John joins us. I was speaking at an event on Thursday and met one of John's colleagues who just couldn't. She used to hire John to put him on stage all the time and couldn't say enough about him. And I love Bryn Tillman's comment here. When you bring that kind of value to your prospect, you earn the right to get the sales call. I love what Bryn says here. Listen, if you don't follow Bryn, then you don't know enough about LinkedIn. But you earn the right to get the sales call. I love that, because a sales call is a privilege, and it's something that you should earn. You should really earn the right. The right to get. But I want to talk about, sales goals to me are something to blow through. They're not something that when you reach them, you stop. A few months back, I was working in San Diego. And of course, I took the time to play a round of golf. My husband was with me. And it was a Wednesday afternoon, about 2:00. I'd spoken that morning. And I get on the golf course with two young pharmaceutical sales reps looking to be in their 30s. And it was about mid-month. And I said, what are you guys doing out here with no clients at 2:00 on a Wednesday afternoon? They said, we hit our sales goals. And I thought, that is one screwed up company, because it's middle of the month and they assume when they hit the sales goal, they're done. That tells me they're selling to hit a goal. They're not selling to help a client. You set a goal so that you have a direction, something to shoot for, but it is not the reason that you sell. You sell because people need you and you can help them. That is why you sell. And sometimes that puts you so far past your goal. So if you're headed into the holiday season and you've had a great year, yay you, but it isn't over. Do you realize with what Mark said? Mark, we should put that article in the show notes. Jamie Dimon's article. He's basically setting up 2024 to be an exceptionally challenging year, given the geopolitical situation, given interest rates, given inflation. And that tells me this is not the time to pull back. It tells me this is a time when your customers are going to need you more than ever. So put your foot on the gas right now.
And the way they need you is it starts with the relationship. You know,
Yeah.
trust is the currency of business. I've talked about that a lot, you know, and we have to, and there's no better time than right now to be developing that. And this is why it's so key, because here's the whole thing. Our customers are going to need us more next year, more than ever. But here's the deal. Are we bringing them insights? Are we bringing them truly value that they can use? Go back to Dave Sanderson's comment about the N95 mask. He undoubtedly had a customer who trusted him and viewed him because this customer was asking them about something that he had nothing to do with. See, that's the mark. That's the mark of the relationship. When the customer is starting to ask you questions about things that you don't have anything to do with, what does that tell you? And this is what the holidays are all about. It's about creating those relationships. Hey, I want to go back to that comment you made about those two pharmaceutical reps. I tell you what, it drives me nuts. But this is where so many salespeople fall down, because you may be watching the show, you may be listening to the show right now, and you got this Q4 number. And the problem was you built your Q4 number around a 13-week quarter. It is anything but a 13-week quarter in the fourth quarter because of all the holidays and everything. And what does that mean? That you've got to really make your fourth quarter number in about 9 weeks or 10 weeks, because you don't know what those last several weeks are going to be like. It's the same thing as you begin building out your plan for next year. If you build your plan out just to achieve your number, you will fall short of your number. Top performers, and the top performers in Ron's team, why? Because they're driving past their number. Their goal, that's just a marker. That's just a marker on the highway. And they're going way past that. That's the attitude of winners.
Yeah. I love what John says here. LinkedIn has a way to celebrate a person's milestones. If you make a specialized generic video for each of those celebrations, whether it's work anniversaries, birthdays, jobs, promotion, it can keep you in front of them at least 3 times a year. And what I love about visibility is that you control it. You can control how much and I think it's important for us to be mindful of that in the holiday season. I cannot control whether somebody has time to close a sale. I cannot control whether they've already moved past their budget. But I do know that I can control how many reach outs and how many touches I do through the holiday season will determine how much business I close in January. So focus on what you can control.
I love that. Natalie, one of our mastermind members, says, your advice is spot on. I'm grateful for meetings with current and former customers. Reconnect and continuing conversations matter. They do. This is about, you always have to feed the relationship. You have to feed just because you're thinking about a customer doesn't mean the customer is thinking about you.
Yeah.
You've actually got to make the connection, right? I mean, this is it's not hard. And go back to John's comment regarding visibility. You have to be visible. And this time of year is your golden, this is the easiest time of the year for visibility. And here's why I always say the end of the year is so key. When we get to January, that's when the selling season begins.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say my good friend Mike Weinberg coined this expression. That's when the selling season begins. And it runs to about the middle of April. January, about the middle of April. You got to make the most of it. And if you're sitting there spending January just getting ready, forget it. You are way behind, way behind.
Yeah, well, I love it when our audience members know each other and connect. Natalie, Bryn says hello. Mark, you are making such a great point. You got to understand that when January hits, everybody's in the marketplace. It's flipping flooded. Yeah. Those customers that you have been calling on, 12 other salespeople are calling on them at the exact same time. You should use the dead space of the holidays to schedule those calls for next year.
Yeah. And that's where, if you don't have meetings, and I challenge every sales team I'm with this time of year to set metrics, to set goals. What are the number of sales meetings that you're going to have established for the first 2 weeks of the year? And the whole idea being is that you are not into, I got to call and start getting appointments set up. But no, you've got things happening. Because I'll tell you what, the first quarter, if you don't nail your first quarter,
yeah,
right? I mean, if you don't make your first quarter number, you are chasing you are chasing all year long. So I want to drill my first quarter. And that means I got to drill January, because otherwise I'm behind the eight ball all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what are some of your best ideas to sell through, through the holiday season?
Well, mine is just pick up the phone and seriously, more than ever right now, it's phone calls. That's what I do. And trying to set up times to either have a 30-minute phone call, or if we can have coffee, if we can grab a meal, something of that nature. But giving them insights and begin prepping them. I want to find out how their year went, and then begin talking to them about what they expect to see in 2024. And I love asking the word opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. Hey, what's your view on what 2024 is going to be like? And I want to get them talking, because now it's going to begin to give me insight as to how I'm going to be dealing with them. So those are a couple key things that I do. But
Yeah.
What are some things you do?
Well, number one, I was just working on this morning when I got up. I like to be really strategic in the last 2 months of the year. So I was going back through all the sales calls that I made this year. And that's a lot, because I make 2 to 3 every single day of my life, 365 days a year. And I was really thinking, what prospects didn't close? What have been some of my really best customers? Because, we think about selling through the holiday season, it's really just 3 weeks each month. And November this year is a little bit squishy because Thanksgiving falls early. And when that falls early, it kind of messes up the last week of November. So you don't have a lot of time. So I was really trying to get strategic on it and thinking, if I can only make X amount of calls, because I don't really have time to make more than 2 to 3 a day. I've got a really busy November and December. Who is the highest and best use of my time? And then from there, I was really thinking, how am I going to reach out? I'm definitely going to reach out to try to schedule, see what their goals are for 2024. But what is something that I can add that is really a strategically good value for them? I've got a lot of thoughts about 2024, a lot of things, what I think you need to do to be successful in 2024. And we all know I'm a realist, so I think it's going to be a challenging year. So I was sort of thinking in my mind, I guess, is, really having that strategy and realizing you have a finite amount of time, make really good use of it.
You really do have a finite time. John brings up a great question. What is it that you do to stay in touch more? One of the techniques that I've used this for a long time, and I've talked about this with others. It's what I call the 10 list. I'm notorious for creating these 10 lists, and these are just 10 bullet points. And it's on any random topic, subject, industry, whatever. And I will send that out to prospects. I'll send that out to clients. And then I can follow that with a phone call, have a conversation. Oh, they don't respond. Guess what? Now I can take each one of those 10 and have 10 individual emails, 10 individual voicemails. But it gives me a continuous stream of value added, because I'm not selling. I'm giving them value. I'm giving them little nuggets of advice that they can use. And I have found that technique works absolutely terrific.
Yeah. So I'd say, John, my go-to move is a combination. Number one, I try to, I send something that I know is a specific industry challenge. I stole this line from Ian Altman, who's unbelievable sales expert, sales strategist, really just an all-around great guy. But his opening line is typically, the number one issue, we work a lot in your industry. Number one issue we're seeing is this, and this is how we go about solving that. And they don't put a list in or anything in there. He just sends a link to an article that he wrote on how to solve that particular issue. So I really stole that follow-up. And then I followed that up within 2 weeks of testimonials from somewhere I've spoken in their industry or one of their clients that I've worked with. And I use that in the subject line. I say testimonials from a really well-known company. Like, for example, if I'm getting ready to speak in the insurance industry, I might say testimonials from Nationwide, because they'll recognize that and be most likely to open that. But that back-to-back seems to work really, really well for me.
See, in both cases, we're leading with value. We're
Yeah.
leading with insights that are relevant to them. This is so key. And I think of what you shared, Meredith, you said it's the referrals. Because when you can sit there and say, I've worked with others in the space, I've helped others in the industry, we've got a lot of experience with it. That's a confirming notion that this isn't your first rodeo. This isn't the first time. This is you making it happen over and over again. And hey, if I talk to Meredith, she's going to be an expert. She's going to know. And I love this. We got some great comments coming in from people. This is absolutely fantastic.
All right. We got to get to the book, and because we're about to end the show.
Wow. It is 25 minutes. Yes, the book. Hey, the book. I ordered it this morning. Lessons from the Legends. Brian Biro and the Legends, John Wooden and Pat Summit. Hey, if you know basketball, you know that there's some legends. But let me tell you something. If you don't read John Wooden and follow him, okay, he passed away a number of years ago. Legendary leader in terms of how he deals with top performers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Brian is a mentor of mine. He's been speaking for more than 30 years. Has done over 1,000 presentations. He's in the University of Southern I'm going to get it wrong anyway. Hall of Fame. Anyway, but he chose these two particular coaches because they are unbelievably legendary and successful, but went about it in a little bit of a different way. John Wooten, Pat Sullivan, it's really an incredible book. You can find it here in the show notes, but you're going to get those little nuggets that, you know what? I think there's a lot of good ideas there to reach out to your clients and share some of these as you head into the end of 2023.
That brings up a real side note. I love sending books to clients.
Yes.
And I don't send my own. I send other people's books, and I love that. So anyway, that's one of the reasons we love it. Hey, Roberta Moore, thank you. Another mastermind member. Thank you. Yes, it is. It is amazing. Focus on what you can control. Hey, lightning round. Are you ready?
I am.
Top 10 ways to sell effectively through the holiday season. Go.
Number 1, get a strategy.
2, stay consistent. Don't stop.
Number 3, I'm going to take Bryn's idea here and send a few referrals out at the end of the year.
Number 4, never think that you're asking. You are helping people invest in their business to set up the new year.
Number 5, use the holidays. Use Thanksgiving as a way to say thank you to people. Use the holiday, use the new year, use it all as a way to get through the door.
Number 6, set up your calendar to know what days you're closed, what days you're open, and ask right now your customers, hey, what days are you open to receive? What days are you open? What days are you working, et cetera, et cetera?
Number 7, identify some of the biggest challenges that they're going to face in 2024 and come up with an article or a video on how you can help them solve them.
Number 8, when you sit there and you ask for them, hey, let's get together, make sure you give them a specific date. January 3rd, perfect day to get meetings on the calendar.
Yeah. Number 9, that's what I am going to say. Number 9 is use December to get the first week in January scheduled. My go-to line with people is, I know you're busy. I know you want to go spend time with your family, with your friends. Let's get a date on the calendar, first week in January, so you can start 2024 strong.
Number 10, and we'll close it down. Set micro goals for what you're going to accomplish each day, each week as you head in. Momentum creates momentum. And when you finish strong, you will start strong. With that, we want to say, hey, thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If we've said something, we've helped you in $1, hey, consider telling a friend, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will close out with our big quote here from our friend Hugh Hornsby, also a mastermind member. Magic, thank you so much for your first time in this show. If you have a question, please go to saleslogicpodcast.com. Check out the Sales Logic Mastermind if you want to make 2024 your best year on record. And we'll see you right back here next week for another episode of Sales Logic.